Greetings, Carl Richards from the Society of Advice here. This is a little episode, it's a little Q&A episode. I get tons of questions from financial planners and advisors all over the world each week, and I spend a lot of time answering them, especially members of the Society membership program or people who are going through the fellowship. And I'm going to start taking just a couple of them and answering them publicly. And this one was really good because I've heard this question a lot, and it's a really important conversation. It's about the use and purpose of sort of doing work in public and social media. And so let me just read part of the question. So this is somebody who, I'll paraphrase here. This is somebody who listened to my call with Seth Godin and then the debrief we did as part of the membership. So we had Seth Godin on in October, and then we did a debrief call the next day. He said, I really enjoyed that. And I'm sorry, I'm looking over at the email here. I'm trying to reconcile two realities that I believe are true, and this is really great. Number one, we must play in traffic so that people know what we're about. That was what Seth and I spent most of our time talking about. Number two, 90% of new clients come from referrals from existing clients. So I believe these are the two truths this advisor is asking about. Play in traffic, 90% of clients come from referrals. And then he talked about sort of having conversations with other people who are in the membership of the Society of Advice. And people commented that they hadn't had a lot of success with social media. And this advisor is saying, hey, isn't social media the primary way we would play in traffic? So I believe my question is, by playing in traffic, is our goal, and here's the question, and I think this is really good, which is why I want to talk about it. Is our goal by playing in traffic? And when I say playing in traffic, let's just get clear. I just mean doing work in public, making it easy to share. I don't get terribly caught up in the art, and this is really hard for people. It was hard for me for a long time. I don't get terribly caught up in the artifact itself, like whether that's a book, a podcast, a YouTube channel, an email newsletter, social media. I have some beliefs about the best way to do that, but that's not important. Often those are places to hide. Like, I don't like YouTube, or I don't like video, or I don't like podcast. I'm artifact agnostic. What I'm suggesting by playing in traffic is leaving a breadcrumb trail of the work you do. The reason we do work in public is so that people can see how we think. So we're doing it for a couple of reasons. One, to change the world, and two, to build a business, right? And Seth would point out that you're doing it there's a third reason, and maybe the third reason is the first reason, which is the benefit of metacognition, the practice of doing public work, especially regularly, which, by the way, if you haven't yet, and I don't even know by the time you watch this whether it will be out or not, but his new book, The Practice, is so good. And I've been reading Seth's work for a decade and a half at least, and the new book, I was like, wow, it was challenging in ways I didn't expect it to be. Really good. The benefit of that practice, doing public work, is we get to see how we get to think about our thinking. Right? We get to clarify our thinking. So I'm engaged in a project right now that I don't really care if anybody else listens to. I mean, of course I do, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? For the benefit of metacognition. So our own personal benefit, building a business, changing the world. That's why we do work in public. So I believe my question is, by playing in traffic, our goal is our goal to become a thought leader, as you and Seth, which is very kind of you, have become, or is it to attract new clients that we wouldn't have known about otherwise? To put ourselves on the hook, a phrase that Seth used in the new book, which is really good, which we covered in our chat. To put ourselves on the hook so that we are able to communicate more effectively to clients. The answer could be all, some, or you're missing the point, and he uses his name. So he's saying, is our goal to become a thought leader, right? To attract new clients that wouldn't have known about us otherwise, or to put ourselves on the hook to communicate more effectively. And I think, and then he says it could be all, some, all, or you've missed the point. Okay, so let's talk about this, right? What is the goal of doing public work? So I think we've already pointed at some, this metacognition, And what this friend of mine who sent this email in, and I'm not using his name because I didn't ask for permission, so I'm using his question as a general topic, general question, because I get this all the time. So the metacognition, put yourself on the hook, doing public work, that's one benefit. But to be really clear, if I'm a financial advisor, my goal is not to become Instagram famous. My goal is not to become a Twitter celebrity. That's not my goal. Right? My goal is to build a business and have an impact, often on a local community or a worldwide niche, right? Like, I'm going to get really clear about, I work with entrepreneurs that have had a successful exit over 10 million, and luckily, given the remote nature of business, I can do that all over the world. So I'm going to become known, really well known in a narrow niche, or I'm going to have an impact on my local community. And does social media really help with that? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So what does, right? The goal of all, at least my strong opinion, and I'm probably wrong about this, right? What do I know? My strong opinion about this is the goal is to give people a chance to stalk you, to window shop. People want to know how you think. You're asking them to hire you to give you advice about one of the most personal things they could ever ask anybody about. And we're asking them to do that without knowing anything about you. So the traditional way we do that is the about page on our website with a bunch of stuff about our degrees and our accomplishments. That doesn't really help. What they want to know is what makes you tick personally. So what's the easiest way to do that? The easiest way to do that is through an email newsletter that you then give permission for people to share. Right? So the way I teach it is email newsletter becomes the core. Because and by email newsletter I mean something that you like, it has you, it's not some content you buy from somebody else, right? It's about you sharing how you think about these ideas, that story you tell about diversification, right? The conversation you had with a client, or you can say friend, the conversation you had with a friend so you don't have to deal with big compliance issues, right? Don't reveal any confidentiality stuff. Conversation you had with a friend about how to think about risk. Those sorts of things, right? Sharing that, doing your work, all the work you do in private, in your head and with clients, do it in public. Share that work. Take people through the process. Do that in an email newsletter, right? I'm thing agnostic though, right? Maybe it's easier for you to sit down and record a video like this. Maybe it's easier for you to do an audio, right? But email newsletter, easiest way. Then you create a landing page, one single simple landing page that says, hey, each week I share my thoughts on my email newsletter. Each week I share my thoughts on my YouTube channel. Each week that landing page is what you point everybody to. Then you go out to the socials, to Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook if you have to, and you say little nuggets. I call them content snacks. You take what was in the email newsletter that week and you slice out a sentence of it and you call it a tweet. And you say, if you like this, you would love my newsletter. I call it this strategy. If you like this, you would love this strategy, right? Employ that process. If you like this, you would love my newsletter. If you're an entrepreneur with a successful exit and you've enjoyed the comments I've made so far, you would love my newsletter. So back to my friend's email. What's the purpose of that? Well, we're getting all the metacognition. We're doing our work in public. And I would submit to my friend, I'm just going to call my friend, let's make up a name like Richard. I'm just going to say to Richard, I agree that a lot of people waste a lot of time on social media. And as we had in the comment section of the worldwide, we have this thing called the worldwide chapter meeting of the membership. And in the comment section, people said other advisors, other members who are on the call shared that they had little to no success on social media, right? And I think that's true. And I think that's mainly because we're either A, we're doing it wrong carefully, or B, we're expecting something that we're just not going to happen. The only success on social media, and I know there are other reasons to use it. If you want to build a community and you want to have friends on Twitter, it's awesome. And I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just not how I use it. The way to use social media, my opinion of the way to use social media, what I teach around social media is just to point people to an email newsletter. Email newsletter because you own the relationship. It's direct one-to-one email address, right? You can reply and have a conversation. So the only point of social media is to drop valuable information, content snacks, valuable by themselves, and then say, if you like this, you'd love this. The reason for if you like this, you'd love this email newsletter is it gives you permission to communicate again and again and again. And then if we do that at scale, the chance of a prospective client understanding that they need your help and B, understanding that you're the one that gives them help, you're the one that can provide the help, right? The frequency with which prospective clients will understand they have a challenge that they need solved and know that you're the one that has the solution, the frequency with which those things happen increase. We just want to put you at risk for those things to happen, put you at risk for good things to happen by playing in traffic. So I think most people are expecting social media to do things it's never going to do, and they're doing it wrong. And again, that's just my humble opinion. I know there are other ways to do it. So use social media, play in traffic, right? Do your work in public. Point to a place where people can sign up to go deeper if they want, to hear from you regularly. Drop valuable information there. The frequency with which a client says, hey, I have a problem that person looks like they can solve. That frequency with which that happens increases at scale. So to everybody who's listening, and who did I call? Oh yeah, Richard. Thank you for the question. I hope that's helpful. And then this is my final plea. I want you to play in traffic because we need you to change the world, right? People need to hear your stories. The fake financial advisors are telling lots of stories, and they're fake. We need people to hear the stories of real financial advisors like you so that they can spread, so that we can change the world. So I hope that's helpful. And with that, have a great day, my friends.